Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are located around the world. Welcome to episode number 13 of our podcast, People First, the Heart of Business. Season 1, The Power of Women. I am Gabriela Castro Smith, a workforce strategy advisor with Trade in Motion. We support companies providing the right information and data to find, hire, and retain the right long-term talent for their operations. Today is a very special day for two reasons. It is Thanksgiving Day in the United States. And because of that, we are very thankful for having our guest today. She is a wonderful woman, Angie Robson from Torex Gold. Thank you, Angie, for accepting to be our guest today.
Thank you, Gabriela, for inviting me. It's a real honor to be here with you.
Angie Robson is the Senior Vice President of Human Resources, Environmental, Social, and Governance and Communications for Torex Gold. She has more than 25 years of experience in communications, community relations, government relations, and human resources, and has spent more than 20 years of her career in the mining industry. She joined Torex in 2020 after spending 15 years at Vale Base Metals in roles of increasing responsibility across the company's North Atlantic operations. Throughout her career, Ms. Robson has built strong expertise in communications and issues management and is credited with building productive relationships with a broad range of audiences, including employees, governments, indigenous communities, and community stakeholders. Angie holds an Honours Bachelor of Arts from Laurentian University and an MBA from McGill University in Canada. Again, Angie, thank you for being here. We are honored with your presence.
Thank you, Gabriela. This is my first podcast, so I'm very excited to be here today, and especially with you. It's so nice to see you again.
Thank you very much. Further, Angie will explain more about Torex Gold. However, I want to mention that the company is a successful mining company. I know them long time ago when I was working at the Canadian Embassy in Mexico. And I've seen the progress of the company, first the project, after building the mine, how they have been doing with the community, with their people. It's amazing. Mm. But let's dip into your 25 years of experience, Angie. I want to begin with a question that I ask to women in mining, because as we know, it's a male-dominated industry. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey and how you got into mining?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for your kind words about Torex, Gabriela. I'm excited to tell a little bit more about our story today. I was born and raised in a community called Sudbury, Ontario, which is about 4 hours north of Toronto. Sudbury is a mining town. We have very large mining operations here that have been in operations for more than 100 years. So definitely a mining town. However, my family were all teachers. I had actually nobody in my family in the mining industry. So to be honest, mining wasn't ever an industry that I saw myself getting into. So I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. As you said, I went to McGill University in Montreal. I got an MBA. And then I moved to Toronto in search of a communications or a public relations role and found myself working as the head of communications and press secretary for the then provincial minister of energy. And through that job, I met many people from many, many different industries, including the mining industry. And in 2005, an individual from what was then Inco and is now Vale took me out for lunch and said, would you ever consider moving back to Sudbury? We'd love you to join our company. And, my family's here. My husband and I were recently married. We were talking about potentially moving back to Sudbury. And so the stars all lined up. And, as you say, fast forward 20 years, I've never looked back from mining. It is I've had just an amazing career. I've gone places I never imagined I would go. I'm challenged every day. I have a career that, provides well for my family. And most of all, it's been a career where I really feel like I'm making a difference because of the positive impact that mining can have on local communities and society in general. And so for me, I feel very lucky to have gotten into mining. It just sort of happened by accident.
That's wonderful, Angie. I remember many being in the industry. Many women arrived to mining like they didn't know that they were gonna be
That's right.
working in the mining industry, and they said, "I want to build my career within the industry
Yes.
because it's, as you say, it's fascinating how
Yes.
you help the communities, how you see things evolving, how you see employees growing. It's a great industry to work
Yeah,
on.
absolutely.
And now, please tell the viewers about Torex Gold.
Yeah, sure. So Torex is a Canadian-owned mid-tier gold company. We're headquartered in Toronto. Our flagship asset is called the Morelos asset, and that's located in Guerrero, Mexico. It's about 180 kilometers southwest of Mexico City. And there we produce gold doré bars, and we also produce a copper concentrate product. We are currently the largest single gold producer in Mexico, so a very sizable operation there. Last year, we had about 1,400 permanent employees and about 3,000 contractors. And really importantly, Gabriela, we focus very much on local employment. And so about 99% of our workforce comes right from Mexico. It's been a really big year for Torex this year. So this past year, we completed a $1 billion investment in our Media Luna mine. The Media Luna mine is an underground mine that essentially is going to add at least a decade, and we know much more than that, to our mine life in Morelos, meaning that we'll be operating there for many more years to come. And this year, we actually also acquired two companies. And with those acquisitions, we acquired early stage exploration assets in Chihuahua, Mexico, and also Nevada in the USA. And so we've expanded there. And we've also acquired a much more advanced exploration property in Sinaloa, Mexico as well. And we're currently undergoing a preliminary economic assessment for that project and looking to build our next new project after Media Luna. So it's been a really exciting year for us. We're a growing company with aspirations to grow more and lots of really exciting things happening.
Exactly, and it's a company doing the right thing. So that helps a lot with the community, with shareholders, with stakeholders, and all together with the service providers. All together, that's what makes really a good company and a good
Yes.
project, and after a good mine.
Yes, for
Congratulations.
sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Torex has been held up by some as the gold standard of what responsible mining can look like.
Mm.
Can you tell us about Torex approach when it comes to engaging with communities and responsible mining more broadly?
Sure. Yeah, I would say, Gabriella. So just to put it into context, we started commercial production at Morelos in 2016. So it's not an old operation. And I would say from the very beginning, during construction of the operations in the mine, we really built it with the environment and the communities in mind. We engaged very early on with the companies to build meaningful relationships based on trust that goes beyond just the minimum regulatory requirements, knowing that in order for us to earn our license to operate, we needed to have those meaningful and trust-based and mutually beneficial relationships in place. I think the best way to explain our approach when it comes to responsible mining is articulated in a purpose statement that our executive team came together to write down a few years ago. And the purpose statement is to transport to transform finite mineral resources into lasting prosperity by positively impacting all the lives we touch. And this is a statement that is known from the board of directors down to the operators. It's not just words on a page. It's not just a sign on the wall. It's genuinely how we approach our business. We know that as a business, in order to survive, we have to generate returns for our shareholders. We have to generate value, but we have demonstrated that we can do that in a way that lifts up the people that we touch, whether that, to your earlier point, be our employees or our community members or our suppliers. We can really make a positive and lasting impact while at the same time generating value for our shareholders. And it's very core to the way that we operate. You just have to be deliberate about it, and you have to be genuine about it, and you have to be intentional, as you said, about demonstrating that positive impact that mining can bring. I think one of the ways that we've done this, and we've been quite successful at the community level, is that we've entered into community development agreements, which we call CODACOP agreements. So around our operations at Morelos, we have about 12 communities of interest. And every year we negotiate these CODACOP agreements individually with each community. So each is unique. They're not the same. They're community led. The community elects local CODACOP committees. And the priorities for local community development that the company then supports are really led by communities. It's not the company saying, I think you need this. It's really the communities and the companies coming together to articulate what that looks like. And through those developments, we really focus on healthcare, for example. We focus a lot on education, a lot on youth. We focus on community infrastructure, making sure that key infrastructure is in place, and cultural initiatives. And again, for context, Gabriella, before we got there, before we built the operation, there was very little infrastructure in place. And, community members largely relied on sustenance farming and fishing and so forth. If you fast forward now 15 years, we've built healthcare facilities, we've built schools, we've built churches, we built water treatment plants and other key community infrastructure. Now there's local businesses, there's local restaurants, lots of people have jobs because they're employed by the mine. And so I think we've really, really demonstrated that benefit that mining can bring and have created in an area of the world that, it's challenging, generational change. It's not just going to have a positive impact on this generation. It's going to impact the next generation and the next generation. And I believe, and I get passionate about this when I talk about mining in the industry and attracting people to the industry, I believe it's so unique, that kind of impact that mining can have. And we've certainly demonstrated that at Morelos. And we want to demonstrate that in Sinaloa and in Chihuahua and in Nevada, and just replicate that positive benefit that we've been able to do at Morelos.
Yeah, it's a great job that you are doing, Angie. The Torex Gold has been doing for years, because it has been done since the beginning. And that's what happened with Torex, doing the right thing since the beginning. And now you see the impact that the company is having in the communities. And I watch a video from Torex.
Yes.
I watched the entire video. It's amazing.
Yes.
We see all the communities. We see the mine and the impact that Torex Gold has been doing within the communities. We saw the lady who has a restaurant.
Yes.
The fishermen and the fisherwoman.
Fisherwoman, so, exactly.
The fisherwoman. I will, if it's okay, I will add at the end of when we will share the video in the description, I will add the link, because that way people can see what Torex Gold is doing.
Yeah, I would really appreciate that, Gabriella. We were really honored when the World Gold Council, which we're a member of, came to us and said that they wanted to start this documentary series about the impact that mining can have. And they asked us to be featured in the very first episode, the pilot episode. So it was a real honor to be able to showcase on that kind of a stage what we're doing. And the video has had almost 6 million views now. And interestingly, the demographic of the viewers is a lot of youth are looking at it, which is exactly what we want as we're demonstrating what mining can do and trying to get more young people into our operations. And it's been viewed all around the world. So if you could share that with your viewers, we would really, really appreciate it. It's something that we're very proud of.
Of course. Thank you. And let's talk about women in mining more specifically.
Sure. Yeah.
The CEO of Torex is a woman, which is rare in the mining industry.
Yeah.
How do you think this has shaped your organization?
Yeah, indeed. So we have a female president and CEO. Her name is Jody Kazenko. She actually joined the company as the chief operating officer, which is also very unique in the industry. And then in 2020, she was asked to take on the role of president and CEO. I think, she's only one of a handful of female mining CEOs globally. And even, Gabriela, if you look in Canada at publicly traded companies, only 4.5% of publicly traded companies in Canada have a female CEO. So, it really, really is quite unique. Having said that, to be honest, I don't believe most of our employees even think of gender when they think of Jody's leadership. I think, the proof is really in the pudding in terms of what she's been able to accomplish since 2020, since she took the role of CEO. As I mentioned earlier, we're Mexico's largest gold producer. We've grown in other jurisdictions and we're continuing to grow. We've set ourselves up now for decades more mine life in Morelos. We've even been recognized by the Toronto Stock Exchange as one of their very top performers. So over the last 3 years, we've achieved a return of about 350%. And so just really, really, really exceptional results. And, she's just a darn good leader that has demonstrated that you can deliver those kinds of results, again, while having that positive impact on the people around us and the people that we touch. So, I think gender aside, it really comes down to the fact that people want to follow good leaders. It matters what they say. It matters what they do. It matters how they think. It matters how they inspire people. And I think that becomes more important than whether they're a man or whether they're a woman. And I think in a large way, Jody has shaped our organization by demonstrating what that good leadership can look like, both for our female employees and for our male employees. And I think, certainly our results under her leadership prove that.
And it's very good for women to see where they can arrive. Absolutely. Because sometimes women say, maybe there's not a place for me in as a CEO, as a COO, and she demonstrated that it is possible to arrive.
It is possible. And I think it's so important for young women that look to her and say that is possible, whether in mining or outside of mining, that you can be a female and you can be an exceptional CEO that delivers exceptional results that's respected equally by both men and women in the industry and more broadly. So I think we're very proud of Jody. We all, are very proud of what she's accomplished. And she's really, really managed to rally, the 4,000 people that row in one direction in order to achieve our business results. She's really been exceptional at leading that. So it's been, we're proud of her.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you watch for our viewers, when you will watch the video, you will see her. It's she's proud of working in mining. She's proud of all the accomplishments of the company. So watch the video and you will know Jody better.
For sure.
Something that I want to point out is and express is that it's fascinating seeing women driving those big trucks with pride.
Yeah.
You see these huge trucks.
Yes.
And women they feel like comfortable and proud.
Yeah, and empowered. And absolutely.
So I like to see the women in all levels to be proud of having a job in mining.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've definitely focused, Gabriella, on creating the conditions for women to rise as a result of our operations. And that's both inside of our operations and outside of our operations. Just to give you an example, even at the board level, currently 4 out of 7 of our directors are women, meaning we have more women than men on our board of directors. Up until very recently, our general counsel just retired, but up until then, 3 of the 7 members of our executive team are women, including Jody as the CEO. And when you look at management roles, both in our corporate office and in our operations in Mexico, 46% of those roles are occupied by women. And so, we definitely have good women representation at senior levels within the organization. We haven't done that by setting quotas as many other companies do. And so, but what we have done is really try to ensure that we open the door to opportunities for women in our recruiting processes. And so, we really think about it as equality of opportunity, not necessarily equality of outcome, meaning the best person still gets the job. It just happens that in many cases for Torex, that best person has been a woman. And so I think, though, when you look at Guerrero and our operations there, about 16% of our operational workforce is women. That's in line with industry standards in Mexico or industry averages, but we really, really, really want to do better than that. And it's challenging because in the area that we operate, traditionally women have stayed home and raised families. And so it's a change. Yeah. And so we've had to get creative about the way that we try to bring more women into our workforce in Mexico. And so you talked about the female haul truck drivers, and maybe I'll just tell your viewers a little story about that, because I think it's a great example of how we've done that. So many years ago, our supervisor of that area of the haul truck drivers that were in our open pits, which are no longer operating, but back then we were mostly an open pit operation. He recognized that his very best, his very safest, his most reliable driver was a woman, and her name is Estella, and she continues to work with us today. And so he thought, I think we need to bring more women, and we need to have more women truck drivers. And as you said, these trucks are big trucks. These are not small trucks. They're huge, 90-ton, massive, massive trucks. And so we went into the communities with a deliberate program to try and bring more women and to get trained and potentially, have a career driving these trucks. And we did. And a good part of that team of truck drivers became women. And, I think this demonstrates, how we've gotten creative to bring more women into our workforce, into very non-traditional mining roles. I mean, it's, HR and communications, and this is really getting more women into the operations where the metal hits the money. But I also think this demonstrates that getting women to come and work in the mining industry isn't just the work of women. It's also the work of men. It took this male supervisor to realize this woman driver is really talented. I think we need more. And so it's not just the work of women, it's the work of men. And I can tell you that, especially in Mexico, even our senior vice president in Mexico, Faisal Rodriguez, he's passionate about doing more to try and bring more women into our workforce. And that's something that we'll continue to do going forward as well.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It's a work of men and women together, and also like with husband and wife.
Yes.
And I will give you, because if women want to work in mining, they need the support of the husband too.
100%. Absolutely. And I think, as we went into the communities and tried to recruit, more female drivers, it wasn't just conversations, to your point, with it was conversations with families and what could this mean and so forth. So I agree with you. And I think, equally important as we look at getting more young women into our operations and our organization, it's about educating the parents who may think, oh God, mining, I don't know, and so really, really, doing a better job at telling our stories and making sure that not just the people we want to bring into our operations, but their families understand what a positive force mining can be.
Exactly. It's a big change for everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
And Angie, what do you think the industry has to do going forward to attract more women into mining?
Yeah, it's such a good question, Gabriela. I think the mining industry really needs to reinvent itself when it comes to its reputation and all matters of corporate social responsibility. I think it has to, or it's just not going to survive. I think, people still have perceptions of mining as this old, antiquated, unsafe,
Yeah,
dirty,
yeah.
dark industry. And that damages people and the planet, and this really has to change. So I think the industry generally and companies individually need to shift the conversation and just be really deliberate about demonstrating that positive impact that mining can bring, which I believe, as I said earlier, is so unique to the mining industry. I think, in mining, historically, we've typically talked a lot about mitigating the negative as opposed to, talking about the positive. And so I think there needs to be a shift in the conversation. And that's going to be key to attracting more women to the mining industry. I think, as we also think about attracting more young women and young men to the industry, we need to understand that they have a social conscience and values that are maybe different from the last generation. They care about climate change. They care about work-life balance. They care about equity. They care about the future of the planet. And I think that's evident in the activism that we see sometimes in the younger generation. And so, mining has answers to some of these questions. When you look at climate change, the metals we produce are absolutely critical to the low carbon transition, to renewable energy technologies, and to all of that. And so I think we need to do a better job of telling the story in a way that really resonates with young women and young men, for that matter, as well. I also think, and this goes back to something that you said a little bit earlier about, creating the conditions for women to take on more leadership roles in mining companies. And, as you said, we've got a female CEO. She will often say, you can't be what you can't see, right? And so if young women see her in a CEO role, see myself in a role as a mining executive, see our managers and directors being held by women, I think it's more likely then that young women will see a place for themselves there, in mining. And so I think that that's really, really important. And again, this goes back to my comments about just making sure that we're opening the door for women to get in the door, and making sure that we have that equity of opportunity. One of the things that we're very concerned about, like many, many mining companies, is there is a widening gap in skills in roles like engineering and geology and environmental science and skilled trades. Those are all fundamental to our business. And we need to continue to have a pipeline of those people coming into our operations. And so I feel that we need to get more creative, the industry and companies, with creating partnerships with universities and with colleges to provide internships and so forth. Because in my experience and the people that I've gotten to know, young women that I have the pleasure of working with both in Toronto and in Mexico, once they get in the door, they see for themselves what mining can do, and they want to stay. They want to stay.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so the magic is really getting them into the door. And I think we need to do a better job of that.
Yeah, and I've seen this a lot of times, that more talking about women, they get into the mining industry and they said, I will do my career here because it's
Yes, I
really
want to stay.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as you say, to attract them to work for the industry, and after the industry will do its job by itself.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
So Angie, to finish our podcast, what would you say first to the general public about mining? What would you say the good things about mining? And the second is, what would you tell women
Yeah.
to get into the mining industry?
Yeah, I think more broadly, I would say challenge your perceptions of what you perceive mining to be and come and see. I mean, most mining companies welcome people into the door to come and see what we're doing and to, again, to help shift that perception. And so, it's until you experience the impact that mining can bring and you see it and you feel it, it's hard to really shift those perceptions. And so I think, as an industry, we have more work to do, but we become much more open and transparent about our operations and what we do and how we do it. And so I invite people to come in and learn more about mining and to come and see where they can. I think for young women, again, I think for young women that are in the industry, I encourage them to please get out and tell your story and promote the industry as a great place for people to work. Because the more women that we have talking that are in the industry to other young women, I think the more likely it is that we're going to get them in the door. And I think, for young women, there's a place for you here is my message. There is a place for you in mining. You can have an incredible career that will take you places, as I said earlier, that you never thought you would go, that will challenge you every day, that will provide a good living. And so just know there's a place for you here and we want you.
Yeah, thank you. And kudos for Torex Gold. Great
Thank you
mining
so much.
company.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we're not done yet. Keep watching us.
Exactly. Keep follow Torex Gold. And thank you, Angie, for accepting our invitation. We are, as I said at the beginning, honored to have you here to share the good practices of Torex Gold. And let's keep in touch.
For sure. Thank you so much, Gabriella. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you today. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much.